Well, it's Good Friday, and Easter is Sunday. 2,000 years ago or so, Jesus was dying on that cross for us. We believe, for us. I believe, after earlier in my life, I actually went through a phase of atheism and a phase of alcoholism and a lot of other negative isms until I realized that He is real and wants the best for each and every one of us. Started reading the Bible, and then a lot of things changed. Not that long ago, actually. 7, 8 years ago was when my awakening started. And I'm so grateful, and it is available to each and every person in the world. No matter what you've done, no matter what you've been through, it's there. He's waiting. It's kind of amazing. I'm not perfect, of course, and still working on a lot, but this has made everything easier and everything better. Newsmax magazine, by the way, this month, an extraordinary edition. New evidence emerges from the Shroud of Turin, the real face of Jesus. I just picked up my copy. Later in the show, we'll be joined by Paula White, the world-famous minister, and sometimes they say that she is the minister to Donald Trump. And one more word about faith and Christianity and Easter. I know we can be pretty tough on people. I can be pretty tough on people. And here's how I think of it. I love everybody. I really do. I love everybody. But that doesn't mean I have to like you, okay? It doesn't mean I have to agree with you. And there are people I can't stand, but on some level I actually love. Does that make sense? I hope so. Because I got to address a couple of people I don't like, but deep down I love them. Those three nuts down in Nashville. They are state legislators in Tennessee. And instead of legislating, instead of building coalitions and doing the work of legislating, they just decided to take over the floor and yell and scream about what they wanted to yell and scream about. Grabbing a bullhorn, you can't do it. And they did. The first guy, Justin Pearson, he interrupted the proceedings of the House and started yelling into a bullhorn, joining the protesters who were up in the galley. This guy did the same thing. They were both expelled. They try to fight it. It hasn't worked out for them. This one not expelled, but she's really milking it big time. Take a look at this, please.
So today, we are brought to here where members are responding in the most extreme measure, not because of what we did, but because by breaking the quorum, we broke the glass of your false power for the world to see.
You're not silencing my voice. You're silencing the voice of 70,000 Tennesseans.
I've still got hope because I know we are still here and we will never quit.
You didn't quit, but you did get fired. Okay, you got fired for breaking a rule that they had. You violated House rules and decorum and procedure. You know, they really formed a mob on the floor in a place where you're not supposed to have a mob. Think about it. In Washington, D.C., outside agitators, yeah, they've been known to disrupt hearings, and they have that gavel thing, and they yell and scream, but they got that gavel. And you can't protest when you're a member of that body. You can't shut it down. Listen to this legislator. I think a very thoughtful guy.
We all saw the video of what he did. He and two other representatives effectively conducted a mutiny on March the 30th of 2023 in this very chamber. So not to expel him would simply invite him and his colleagues to continue to engage in mutiny on the House floor.
Mutiny on the House floor. Well, you can't have it, but apparently, because these two legislators that they kicked out were black, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to give them special treatment. That's the message from just about everybody.
We're going to begin with that intense fallout in Tennessee after those dramatic expulsions of two black Democratic lawmakers.
Republican legislators in Tennessee voted yesterday to expel two black Democrats from the state house over their protests on the chamber floor.
In Nashville, two black lawmakers expelled for joining student protests for gun safety.
All right. Everybody is obsessed with the race of these individuals. I think it's kind of irrelevant. And so many are saying it was dumb because they're black and it looks bad. I don't get that at all, do you? And it's becoming really intense.
This is white Republicans trying to make an example of the black men who got out of place and spoke out, and they don't like it, so this is what they're doing to them.
Not even pretending they're not bigots.
What were the Republicans in Tennessee hoping to accomplish here? They look horrible.
Yesterday, it looked like a Jim Crow era trial where we saw two black men fighting for their careers, fighting for their reputations.
They choose to expel two black members of that body and not the one white woman who stands accused. This says quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people are seizing on that. The white woman, she was not expelled because she's white, all right? Well, you notice she's on the sidelines there. She never actually grabs the bullhorn. Let's go through it. They all grabbed the bullhorn. Everybody who was actually kicked out, expelled. The other one grabs the bullhorn, expelled. She is kind of just standing there, hanging around. But, man, is she playing the race card now?
I think it's pretty clear I'm a 60-year-old white woman, and they are two young black men.
Yeah, way to stir the pot, huh? She actually apparently tried to distance herself from those guys during her defense. More on that later. I think what's happening here again, it's fun to protest. It's hard work to get anything done. Who remembers Schoolhouse Rock? Remember that poor little Bill? And all the stuff that they had to do to get that little guy in, to make him into a law?
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I got as far as Capitol Hill. Well, now I'm stuck in committee, and I'll sit here and wait while a few key congressmen discuss and debate whether they should let me be a law. And pray that they will, but today I am still just a bill.
Yeah, it's hard work. It's supposed to be being a legislator. Now it's just about making a scene, right? Getting Twitter followers and just making a spectacle out of yourself. It's a shortcut to fame, stardom, maybe even money. Now that they've been kicked out, are they in a better position to run for senator, governor? Who knows? We have slipped so far, and the media, again, eating all of this up.
The two members, Justin Pearson, Justin Jones, are now stars across the country.
What I will also say, though, Andrea, on a bright note, is what this also did is shine a light on these two stars.
What happened yesterday, all three of these individuals are now superstars. They are martyrs.
I think they're jerks, actually. I think they're totally jerks. And they didn't want to do the hard work of legislating. Again, it's just fun to not work and yell and scream. By the way, have you noticed that protests that are Democrat-oriented, well, they're viewed very positively. Now, watch this for a moment. Looks like they're overtaking a capital, right? That's the Wisconsin state capitol. But guess what? They're a bunch of liberals. It's a bunch of teachers from the teachers union, and they were protesting Scott Walker at the time, and this thing was celebrated. But anytime MAGA shows up, it's a threat to democracy. Remember during COVID when these people showed up very peacefully at the state capitol in Michigan, and they were branded as terrorists and insurrectionists? That's the double standard. It's quite a shame, isn't it? All right, but back to the Tennessee situation. You know what's happening here, right? You know why they're yelling and screaming so much, especially about guns? Because they don't want to talk about the transgender factor, which definitely played a part in last week's shooting. How do I know that? I know it because law enforcement said so on national television. This individual, this sad soul, went from this to this, then to this. How did that happen? Well, the transgender community does not want to talk about it. The police were willing to talk about it for a brief moment, and then who knows what kind of pressure came down on them. They talked about it during a press conference, and we really haven't heard about it since. We certainly don't know anything about the manifesto. Mental illness. They said she was emotionally disturbed and transitioning and all this stuff. Let's talk about that? No, We'll talk about guns, have the same old tired debate. Guns are not going anywhere. The Second Amendment is forever. The gender thing, that happened 20 minutes ago. What happened? Our society just totally flipped out about gender. And real people are paying a price. Like, do you know who Riley Gaines is? This person from the University of Kentucky, she already graduated, but in college, she was the fastest butterfly swimmer, the butterfly event. She was better at it than anybody in all of college history. And she lost to Leah Thomas.
On March 17th of last year, my teammates and I and other female swimmers from universities around the country were forced to compete against a biological male named Leah Thomas. Thomas was allowed to compete in the women's division after competing as a member of the University of Pennsylvania's men's swim team for 3 years. We watched on the side of the pool as Thomas won a national title in the 500-yard freestyle, beating out the most impressive and accomplished female athletes in the country, including Olympians and American record holders. Whereas just the year before, Thomas at best was ranking in the 400s in the men's category. The next day, Thomas and I raced in the 200 freestyle, which ended up in a tie. We went the exact same time down to the 100th of a second. Having only one trophy, the NCAA told me that I would go home empty-handed and this trophy would go to Thomas. And when I questioned this, the NCAA told me that Thomas had to hold it for photo purposes. I was shocked. I felt betrayed and belittled, reduced to a photo op. But my feelings didn't matter. What mattered to the NCAA were the feelings of a biological male.
Hey, so she did lose to Leah Thomas. This whole Leah Thomas, remember? Leah Thomas, or what was his name first? Joe became Leah, and then a champion swimmer in the women's circle. And that's the moment, by the way, where he got the medal, and she just got to stand there. But he actually got the official victory. It's crazy. She continues.
In 1972, Congress enacted Title IX to end unjust sex discrimination in all aspects of education, including college athletics. But by allowing Thomas to displace female athletes in the pool and on the podium, the NCAA intentionally and explicitly discriminated on the basis of sex. Although the NCAA claimed it acted in the name of inclusion, its policies in fact excluded female athletes. But that is not all. In addition to being forced to give up our awards, our titles, and our opportunities, the NCAA forced female swimmers to share a locker room with Thomas, a 6'4", 22-year-old male who was fully intact with male genitalia. Let me be clear. We were not forewarned. We were not asked for our consent, and we did not give our consent. If nothing else, I hope you can truly see how this is a violation of our privacy and how some of us have felt uncomfortable, awkward, embarrassed, and even traumatized by this experience. I know I don't speak for everyone. It's impossible to speak for everyone, but I can attest to the tears that were shed on that pool deck by these poor 9th and 17th place finishers who missed out on being named an All-American by one place. And I can attest to the extreme discomfort in the locker room when you turn around and there's a male watching you undress while exposing himself.
Who could argue with that, huh? Who could argue with her? Apparently, Joe Biden, the Biden administration, congressional Democrats, corporate America, the military, her wishes would be at odds with all of those people and institutions. Isn't that crazy? But she is a hero. And this speech, when went viral, well, she's been speaking out, and she's invited occasionally to college campuses. Ooh, and sometimes things get pretty hairy. Yeah, they're yelling and screaming curse words at her, and it looks like it's unsafe, being traumatized all over again. How is that a radical opinion? How is anything that she said radical? And look at how they're treating her. It's crazy, right? The headlines, by the way, anti-Leah Thomas activists whisked away by police amid protest at San Francisco State University. It's a pretty insane moment, isn't it? That insanity in Nashville, remember, it's just to change the subject. They want to get away from the transgender stuff and back to guns. The futile discussion, the trite, overdone, already been there discussion about weapons.